Hey everyone, it's Allie, and today I want to talk about Thaumaturgical Infusion and how to min-max it in our Pillar of the Cage God Attribute Stacking Gemling Legionnaire. Thaumaturgical Infusion is an ascendancy point that we're going to be picking up as our last point, and you most likely don't know anything about how to min-max it if you haven't read any of the written guides. This is the second best ascendancy node currently available in the game for reducing elemental damage, only losing out to the crazy node that Infernalists have access to. With proper utilization of Thaumaturgical Infusion, and with a high enough budget, you'll eventually be able to get yourself +9 maximum fire res, +3 maximum cold res, and +4 maximum lightning res in the setup. That +9 maximum fire res will effectively mean they're going to be taking 36% less fire damage from all hits that come towards you, making you very, very tanky in comparison to not having Thaumaturgical Infusion. The reason we're going to be focusing so heavily on fire res over cold and lightning is because the pinnacle boss at the end of the game does quite a lot of fire damage, while at the same time, both Detonate Dead and all the other corpse explosion skills are fire damage, and a lot of the on-death effects they come across, plus a lot of the scary big hits that a lot of monsters do in maps right now are all fire damage, making it by far the most deadly elemental type we encounter. Because of that, we are effectively going to create the red wall in our build, where we're going to be stacking as many red support gems as possible to get ourselves as much maximum fire res as we can. It's not too difficult to set up your Thaumaturgical Infusion properly, and there's going to be different budget levels for this that are going to allow you to make it better and better. It's going to be something that's going to grow with you as you invest more into your build. What I want to first talk about here really quickly is a little bit of technology that we learned for Thaumaturgical Infusion only a few days ago. With a normal character, you have 10 skill slots by default. What I assumed this meant was 10 skill slots so you could socket in 10 skills of your choosing, plus an additional skill slot for your weapon skill that didn't count towards the original 10. Unfortunately, your quarterstaff strike in our case does count, meaning you only have 9 skill slots to work with, meaning the Thaumaturgical Infusion was actually going to be a little bit weaker than we assumed. What we have learned that we could do is we can get ourselves a Dusk Vigil, which has 2 separate skills on it at the same time. And if you get it at level 15 or higher, which there'll be a trade link in the description below for, there's no point in getting anything better because you cannot 6-link this, as there's no level 20 version of Dusk Vigil currently available in the game. But if we were to get one of these and then put it in our offhand, the Firebolt and the Emperor Fusillade that it grants us would then be able to be linked. And even though we are equipping our Pillar of the Cage God and we're never weapon swapping over to his Dusk Vigil, the supports that we put inside of it are going to count towards Thaumaturgical Infusion, effectively giving us the 10th skill slot that we thought was missing, along with an additional skill slot because Dusk Vigil has 2 separate skills on it. What we're going to be doing in Thaumaturgical Infusion at a low budget is fairly simple. One, you're going to get yourself Dusk Vigil because it's a 1 to 2 exalted item, and this is just going to allow you to immediately put in 8 supports inside of it. And then on top of that, we're going to use all of the other empty skill slots that we have in this build to put in as many different skills as we can. Now, I'm not going to sit here and go through all the support gems, as that's just going to make this video take 20 minutes. But what I highly recommend for you to do is to go to the mobile links link in the description below and look at the skills section in the written guide that will have all those different skills and all the different supports that you want to put inside of them. What I need to mention about these skills is that their level doesn't matter. You can leave them at level 1, you can leave them at level 10. It does not matter, as you will never be pressing any of these skills, and they are simply just there to give us a place to be able to put in more support gems. Now, the way you want to set this up is fairly simple. As soon as you get yourself Thaumaturgical Infusion, immediately get all these skills and use a Lesser's Jeweler's Orb on all of your skills to make them 3 sockets. You should have plenty of these lying around, and if you don't, so you could buy something like 10 for 1 exalted off the currency exchange, so it shouldn't be an issue for you to 3 socket every single one of them. 3 red support gems in every single one of these. You're then going to get yourself 4 maximum fire res, and then if you get yourself a Dusk Vigil as mentioned, you'll be able to put another 4 in there, giving you +6 maximum fire res in total. On top of that, even if you have no 5 links or 6 links, you're going to have Rage on your Tempest Flurry, and you're going to have Upheaval on your Storm Wave, meaning if you can get yourself 2 more red support gems somewhere, you could get an additional maximum fire res, bringing you up to 7. Well, given our quarterstaff strike is basically completely useless and we're doing nothing with it, we can add in the 2 red support gems that are meant to go inside of it in there, and then with that, we get ourselves +7 maximum fire res. For our cold and our lightning res, I am not going to necessarily min-max it, and that's going to be something that I would recommend for you to look into, as it's not really worth it to tell you what to 5-link first, what to 6-link first for the sake of Thaumaturgical Infusion. It's better just to tell you, hey, if you want to 6-link your Stormwave first because you want better clear, do that. Or if you want to 6-link your Tempest spell because you want more single target damage, do that. What I'd recommend for you to do is to take stock of how many green and blue support gems you currently have in your setup and see how many you are off of being able to get another maximum res. And for example, let's say in Stormwave, on our 6th link, we are going to be adding in a long shot. If you're 1 green support gem off of getting yourself another maximum lightning res, then that might give you a little bit more incentive to go and 6-link it. The lightning and cold reses aren't really necessarily that important. While they will give you a little bit of DR, we don't care too much about them, as fire damage is by far the scariest thing we can come across. From there, what you can then do is you can go and potentially grab yourself a lot of copies of the 4 skills that we're just using to put in all the red support gems, use a lesser Jeweler's Orb on them to make them into 3 socket, and then use a Vol Orb on them to potentially give them a 4th socket. This has about a 1 in 10 chance of succeeding, so it would take quite a few attempts for you to do it. But again, given that the level of the skills doesn't matter, and you most likely have quite a lot of skill gems lying around, this shouldn't be too much of an issue to do, assuming you have a bunch of Vol Orbs. If you can manage to get all 4 of the skills to have 4 support sockets on them, you can then fit in an extra support into all of them, giving you another maximum fire res. Finally, the last thing you do in this build, outside of 5 linking and 6 linking all of your actual skills that you're pressing, is you could eventually get yourself fresh copies of the 4 random skills that we're including to get them to 5 sockets with lesser and greater Jeweler's Orb, and then to use perfect Jeweler's Orbs on them to make them into 6 link, or potentially go to a trade website and see if you can find any of these skills as a 6 link and put those in to get yourself another maximum res once all of them are 6 link. That's going to be something I'd highly recommend for you to do in the super late game of this build, as while +1 maximum fire res might be really nice to get, 6 linking all those skills is going to be very expensive, and there's substantially better things that you could spend your money on in terms of upgrades. That's really all there is to it. It's fairly simple to put together. The only real annoying thing was to sit here and figure out exactly what supports to use everywhere for the sake of setting this up as optimally as possible. But as long as you go over to the written guide and just look at all the support gems in there and just follow along with the supports that have socket in each skill, it should be fairly simple to set up, and you should immediately notice the impacts of having additional maximum fire res. If you have any questions on this, feel free to leave a comment in the comments below, and I'd be more than happy to help you as soon as I can. I also stream on Twitch every single day, so feel free to come by Twitch and ask me any of your questions there. And with that said, cuties, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you all in the next video.